Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. The Karens have multiplied so much that you can already meet them behind the cash register. In our first story, the OP ran into this crazy lady, and believe me, you'll love the ending. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Employee acts like an entitled Karen. I went into a local fast food place to get dinner for my family a few days ago. Never had any problems with this place, and an acquaintance works there, though I don't know her schedule. I place my order and stand off to the side to wait for it. Now here's where it gets tricky. I've gotten wrong orders enough times that I check every item to make sure it's the right item, and it's got any extra items I paid for or removed items I paid them to take off. I find that not only is the meal for my 1.5-year-old completely missing, but that my husband and I's orders are wrong, so I hop back in line with my receipt. When I get back to the register, Karen goes, "What do you want? You already ordered and paid. That's your meal." I politely responded with, "Actually, it's not. An entire meal is missing, and the two that are here aren't even the correct ones. Take a look, please. Here's my receipt." Then set everything on the counter. Karen pushes it back. "No, that's not what you ordered. I bagged it myself." She tries to shoo me away, but I'm not going to budge till at the minimum I get the third meal. "Just look at the order and what's actually in the bag, please. You may have just mixed it up with someone else's order. I just need the third meal, at least for my kid, then I'll leave." "No, I didn't mix up the food with someone else. That's the 2 meals you paid for. Now get out." Customer behind me is getting annoyed by the situation and decides to be a third party to the argument, looks at my receipt, then the bag, and goes, "Her receipt has 3 meals. This bag only has 2. Just correct the order so she can go home and I can order, please." Karen loses it. "I didn't give her the wrong effing order, you stupid effing butt. I'm not going to look at her receipt because I know I'm right because the customer never is. Especially if they're trying to get free food that's probably an old receipt, not from today." Everyone was floored by this outburst, and all the people in line, except the guy that stepped in, decided they didn't want to eat there anymore after being very clearly insulted by Karen over me just trying to get what I paid for. The manager comes out after hearing Karen screaming at us and asks what happened, and not wanting to give me or the guy a chance to talk, she starts going off about how I'm trying to scam free food out of their business with a fake receipt and clearly paid this other guy to cover for me. Manager tells her to stop talking, he's going to handle the situation, and picks up my receipt, sees the time and date, looks in the bag, and sees this isn't what I paid for, and an entire meal is missing, and preps my order himself. After handing me my order and assuring me that this'll never happen again, I do my paranoid check and head out. Acquaintance calls me not 30 minutes later. "You won't believe what happened at work today. This girl got fired for screaming at a customer that was just trying to get their order corrected that was wrong." I laughed and said, "You're right. I wouldn't believe you if I hadn't been the customer she did it to." Apparently that was hilarious because she knew that if I ever came in and that girl was working, crap was gonna go down. I'm glad the manager fired her butt. She'll fail at every job she gets until she learns people won't put up with her entitled behavior. And our second story. "You can't call in sick this early," / "You can't call in sick this late." Background. I suffer from migraines, and unfortunately when I get one, they tend to last 3 to 4 days, leaving me completely incapacitated and unable to do anything more than lie in bed in my dark room and cry. This means that when I get one, I basically know straight away that I'm not going to be able to do anything for the next few days. I have a casual retail job in addition to other work, which I've had for almost 20 years across different stores. I was always the one who worked extra hard and stepped up to do extra shifts or stay back when someone else couldn't come in. But the department manager we had at the time of the story was a narcissist who got off on bullying staff, but really disliked me because I stood up for myself. The funniest part was that she loved to try and stand over people to intimidate them, but with me it failed miserably because I was about half a foot taller than her. About 15 years ago, I started to get a migraine in the middle of the day before I was meant to have a shift starting at 5 p.m. Knowing I wouldn't be able to work the following day, I called the manager to let her know that I wouldn't be able to come in, thinking it would give her plenty of notice to find a replacement. Her response? "You can't call in sick the day before your shift. You don't know that you'll still be sick tomorrow. If you're really sick tomorrow, then you call in." Okay, fine. I went to bed dosed up on prescription painkillers, woke up at 10 a.m., still feeling like a railroad spike had been driven through my eye socket, so I called up again. The manager. "Your shift doesn't start for another 7 hours. You're just trying to get out of work. You'll probably be fine by 5 o'clock, so I'm not going to replace you yet." All right. I went back to bed and was so wiped out, I didn't wake up until about 3:30. We're supposed to give 2 hours notice, so by this point, it was a half hour too late, or it would have been if I hadn't already given notice twice previously. Anyway, I was in no shape to even get to work, let alone work, so I rang up for a third time and asked to speak to the department manager again. She was not happy. Her. "You've only given me an hour and a half notice. That's not enough. You better show up to work." Me. "I've told you twice over the last 2 days that I wouldn't be able to come in. At this point, I literally had to stop and be sick. I can't come in. You've known that since yesterday." Her. "If you're not at work at 5 p.m., I'm going to make sure you don't get any extra shifts." This was when I decided to be maliciously compliant, though I hadn't heard of that term back then. I asked my mother to drive me to work. She asked if I was really that spiteful, I'd go to work sick just to make a point. And, well, yes, I am that spiteful. Clocked in, then went and sat in a fitting room under the bench instead of doing what I was supposed to be doing. My colleagues were horrified, asking what the hell I was doing there in that condition, and I told them that I'd tried calling in sick, but manager had threatened to stop giving me shifts if I didn't show up. Those colleagues were great. One brought me a glass of water, another let me borrow her sunglasses so I could try to cut out some of the bright shop lights. After about half an hour, the manager came in, saw that I wasn't doing any work, and bent down so he could scream in my face. She went absolutely nuclear and started screaming even harder. "Why would you come to work like this? You should have stayed home." And I was feeling sick and miserable, and her screeching was reverberating in my head and making the pain worse, so I started crying and ended up being sick all over the floor. As she stormed off, my colleagues called the store manager over, who was immediately horrified that I was at work in that condition, and called my mother to come and collect me and said that manager would be sternly talked to. Luckily, she was in hiding somewhere when my mother arrived, or she would have ripped her a new one. Because managers/HR will always look out for each other no matter how crappy they are, the department manager didn't face any real consequences as far as I know. But after that, she pretty much pretended I didn't exist, which suited me right down to the ground. And not long afterwards, I was able to transfer to another store, so I didn't have to put up with her constantly throwing her toys out of the pram anymore. Edit, RE migraines. I've suffered from them since I was a child, though they increased in frequency and duration in my early teens, and then again in my early 30s. So far, I've tried numerous preventatives after consultation with various doctors, and most either do nothing at all or only succeed in slightly delaying the onset of the extreme pain and nausea so I can get home if I'm out somewhere and a migraine is imminent. I hate people like that. Try and do them a favor and they just throw it back at you. And our last story. Entitled aunt thinks she's entitled to my inheritance I don't even have yet. Now context. When I was 1, my great-granddad and my dad's side died from old age. He was 101. He fought in the Falklands conflict and had a lot of money invested into British stock and loved to collect wine. Now, I was his only great-grandchild and he loved me in the short period between my birth and his death, and he said he wanted me to remember him by. So in his will, it states when I'm 18, I'm 15 now, I'll receive something from him. Currently, no one knows what it is except my granddad, and he won't tell. He respected his dad too much. Now, EA is my dad's younger sister, and she's an entitled B. She tried to throw away all my dad's childhood belongings because I need room for my stuff. And can only put it in his room as mine is full. Thank God my granddad shut her down, as my dad has some pretty valuable stuff from the 80s. This was 2 years ago, and we've had no contact since. I might also add that she lives in Yorkshire, so hardly see her. Yesterday around 9 p.m. I receive a phone call from her. This is the conversation to memory. Me. Hello? EA. Hi, it's your favorite aunt. Me. Internal groan. Me. Hi, how are you? EA. Good. Anyway, I have a favor. Me. Suspicious. What? EA. Well, I was thinking that since you're too young and since you never met him, can I have your inheritance? I start laughing. EA. Excuse me, I'm not joking. You don't need it, I do. I'm as old as grandchild, she isn't, and I deserve it. Didn't my brother teach you to respect your elders, or is he being effing, you know what I mean, abusive and neglectful? Me. No, he loves me, and I don't know what it is. I have to wait 3 years to wait. Just stop. Why on earth would you think you're entitled to it? EA. You horrible, spoiled, effing fatso. You do what I say. At this point, my dad walks in, and I put her on speaker. Since I'm your aunt, you're a effing disgrace to this family, and we all effing hate you. I calmly reply, my dad's here, and she's on speaker. Dad. You think it's okay to say that to a teen? You're the spoiled one. It's not his or my fault you wasted the 10 grand he left you on alcohol and clothes, so F off. Never contact us again, and I'll be speaking to Granddad about this. He calls my granddad, and a few hours later, Granddad calls him back, saying he's dealt with her and has even cut her from his will. I don't know why she feels she's entitled to this. Honestly, I kind of don't know if I want it, because this isn't the first time someone has tried to take inheritance I can't touch yet. I don't know if it's worth the hassle. Great story, my dude. I'm so glad she got what she deserved. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.